Mayor Jim Watson is with us now. Thank you for being with us, Mayor. Let's start with a snapshot, because Ottawa occupies a particularly special place in the sense of being the nation's capital and a massive tourist destination and the hub for a lot of things that aren't happening right now, including Parliament. How is the city doing?
Well, it's struggling like every city, Amanda, for the simple reason that most of our businesses remain shut down. Certainly the hospitality industry and tourism is our third largest business. Government, of course, the biggest employer. High tech is the second largest, and hospitality and tourism is third largest, with about 40,000 people employed directly in that sector. And obviously when our museums and art gallery and National Arts Centre and even Parliament itself is not accessible to public and tourists, that cuts down travel, and half the hotels have shut down because there are just no visitors. So we're in the same boat as everyone else around the world, although I think we're in a better position because of the stability of the federal public service, and most of those people have continued to work and collect a paycheck. We're counting on them to help kickstart the economy when restaurants start to open and stores start to open more fully.
And how have you found that reopening going? I know that there is this phased-in approach across Ontario. Are you finding that businesses are able to reopen in the way that they're required to, and that it's working for them from a revenue point of view?
Well, I doubt at this point it's working from a revenue point of view, because if you're only allowed so many people in a store at a certain time, and some people don't want to line up to get into a store, that's going to be a challenge. A lot of restaurants have been very innovative in terms of curbside pickup and delivery service and so on. We've been encouraging people to buy local, not to be parochial, but at this time our local businesses need our local population support. So purchasing gift cards and gift certificates that can be used down the road, but it brings some cash in to help with cash flow problems that some businesses are facing right now.
You've made some moves, within your power, things like waiving patio fees. What else can you do as a city to get people out and given the new reality, this middle-term reality, we might call it, and get businesses rolling?
Well, the tax deferral program for businesses and residences, those people who are having hardships, we're going to delay. The normal tax bill due date is in June. That's going to be pushed back to October for those people who qualify and who apply. That will help to a certain degree. We can't eliminate the taxes. We need that money to provide the services. The patio fee waiver was approved unanimously yesterday by our city council. So that will help once restaurants are open on two fronts. One, it will save them a couple $1,000s, which is good for their bottom line. But secondly, and I think more importantly, restaurants no doubt will have to have social distancing rules and regulations in place. So it could, in fact, cut back the number of seats in a restaurant by perhaps as much as 50%. So if we can provide space on street road allowance for patios, that will help offset some of the lost seats inside the restaurant itself.
One of the big concerns, of course, for cities, Mayor, is your inability to run deficits. Your costs are high, your revenue is down. Those are things that are likely to continue. So what do you need? What are you asking other levels of government for here by way of support?
Well, one word, money. We need money because, as you pointed out, Amanda, at the beginning of the interview, we're losing about $1 million a day. That comes from a dramatic drop in revenue from our transit system. Our train and bus system is now down by about 80–85%. And this is not unique to Ottawa. Every city in Canada has a mass transit system has seen the same thing, because when people are working from home or they've lost their job or they have no reason to go downtown or to the suburbs, they're not getting on transit. So that's one hit. And of course, all of our recreation facilities that bring in revenue for, ice rental times and skating lessons and so on, all of that has gone by the wayside, and that revenue as well. So we are in line with the Federation of Canadian Municipalities and here in Ontario, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario. Those two organizations are our voices for Queen's Park here in Ontario and for Parliament Hill. And we've had a really good positive relationship, for instance, at the federal level with the Prime Minister. Catherine McKenna, who is the Minister of Communities and Infrastructure, is also a local MP. And we've put forward our case that we believe there's a need to invest in cities for a couple of simple reasons. First and foremost, we're on the front lines providing a lot of the services to keep our communities going. I think of things like the paramedic service, public health, everything from the water distribution system to recycling, garbage collection. All of these services continue, bus service, train service, and yet we don't have the ability, as you pointed out, to run a deficit, and we don't have the same taxing powers that or financial capacity that the federal or provincial government. So we believe that the federal and provincial government should be working with us to come up with a package that will help us in the short term and in the long term to ensure that we don't end the fiscal year with a deficit, which we're not allowed to do, and we don't have to go and slash and burn core services that now more than ever are vitally important to, in many instances, the survival of people who are living in our long-term care homes or nursing homes.
And I mean, obviously, on that front, we've had some devastating news on the quality of care or the lack thereof inside those homes. Just in terms of the support that you can offer on that front, is there anything the city can do to help in that regard, or is it entirely in the hands of the province?
Well, the city owns 4 long-term care homes and operates 4 long-term care homes. We're required in Ontario to operate at least 1, and we operate 4. And they're very well run, but 3 of the 4 have had outbreaks and loss of life, which is tragic, obviously. We have a great medical officer of health, Dr. Vera Etches. She's working very closely with our long-term care community. And we've had a number of homes that have had significant deaths and contraction rates of COVID-19. So we are working with the long-term care community, but at the end of the day, it really falls to the province, and we're fortunate we have the Minister of Long-Term Care who's a local member of provincial parliament, so she's seeing firsthand locally the devastation that's taking place. Over, I think, 70% of our deaths have come from long-term care homes and retirement homes. So we know that when all of this is over, we have to have a dramatic change in the way these facilities are operating, and the tragedy of the military report that we saw that was gut-wrenching should be a wake-up call for everyone involved in the regulation of these homes for our most vulnerable citizens.
It is indeed. There are other vulnerable citizens that you obviously oversee in the city, and I do want to finish on what is, without question, a slightly lighter tone here. But just talk to me about how you came to be involved with the Wu-Tang Clan's money-raising efforts for the Ottawa Food Bank. It's a kind of a rare bit of publicity that you must have been happy to get.
Well, listen, it's I didn't even know who Wu-Tang Clan was when they came and approached us, and they made a $10,000 donation to the Ottawa Food Bank. A friend of mine, Adam Mirren, has a connection with the band, and another guy I'm sure you know, Harley Finkelstein from Shopify. He launched a fundraising drive with me and a couple other people for the food bank, and within 48 hours, they raised $310,000 for the Ottawa Food Bank, including a $10,000 donation from Wu-Tang Clan. And I thought at first it was a joke, but no, they sent the money. And now we're working with them and their foundation to sell a specialized hand sanitizer, a special meal at Pure Kitchen here in Ottawa, a local food company, as well as T-shirts. And I think the last figure I saw was about $130,000 with those 3 initiatives have raised money for our children's hospital, as well as the Union Mission and the food bank. So I was on a Skype call with one of the band members, and I certainly learned a lot more about Wu-Tang Clan than I ever did before. And they reminded me they were here at our Blues Fest a couple of years ago playing to a sellout crowd. So it's strange bedfellows, me that's sort of a bit of an awkward geek dealing with a rap band. The same day, I think we got a $1,000 donation from Bruce and Vicky Heyman, our former U.S. ambassador. So people have been very, very generous, both outside of Ottawa and especially our citizens inside, to help vital organizations like the food bank.
No, it's a great story, and if it helps at all, Mayor, I didn't know who Wu-Tang Clan was before today either. However, publicity works both ways. Now you and I both know who they are, and maybe we'll even buy their songs. Jim Watson, we appreciate your time today. Jim Watson is the mayor of Ottawa.